What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. From where we sit right now, the offseason is in full bloom. We are about 4.5 weeks away from NFL free agency kicking off, and Pittsburgh has got a list of free agents that are set to be hitting the open market. So now is our time to determine which free agents we should keep and which ones we should cut. I've written down a list of all of our pending free agents this offseason, and I'm talking about who we should let go and who we should keep. We've already seen the offseason start with Pittsburgh on the first eligible day, cutting 3 of their veterans. We saw Trubisky go, we saw Presley Harvin go, we saw Chuks Okorafor go. I did a whole review video on those cuts, so go back and check those out on my channel already, where I discuss all 3 of those guys and kind of where they fit and how they didn't fit and why they were cut. And now I'm looking at the free agents we should bring back and the ones we should let go and why. So looking forward to diving into this list. You guys always look forward to this one. So here we go. I'm going to start with all the free agents the Pittsburgh Steelers have this offseason that if I was in control of the front office, that I would keep. These are, I think, going alphabetically, I believe, or something close to it. Possibly a positional thing, maybe. I don't know. First one, Mason Rudolph. I would keep Mason Rudolph. You guys know that I have not been the biggest Mason Rudolph fan. I've called for his job each of the last 2 years. This season, he showed that he improved exponentially on the bench. He bided his time, and he got better. When he got in there, obviously he was aided by the fact that I think both Pickett and Trubisky played pretty badly this year. Pickett took a big step back. Trubisky was abysmal, and he's gone now. Rudolph has talked about wanting to go elsewhere, and I can understand why. Pittsburgh keeping him as the third quarterback on the bench, not wanting him back last year. He only came back as a third quarterback because he wanted to leave, and we didn't want him, but nobody else wanted him, so he came back. And he proved that he is worth more than people thought he was last year. He came back and improved, led us to 3 straight wins to end the season, and played pretty well in those 3 games and took us to the playoffs. So Mason Rudolph has earned his stripes for me enough to keep the guy on the roster at least. And I would give the guy another chance to come in, along with Pickett and a veteran third quarterback, and I would have a 3-way legitimate competition to see who is the genuine starter. I'd give all 3 guys a genuine chance to be the guy. I would not prioritize one over the other. I would do a veteran, like a Tannehill or a Brissett, along with Rudolph, and along with Kenny Pickett, and I would say best man wins. You guys all got a fair shot. Let's do it. So, unless Rudolph gets like a mega contract to go be a starter somewhere based on those 3 games he had, I think he is worth bringing in for a decent contract to see which one of the 3 guys. Now, I wouldn't break the bank for him. I wouldn't overpay. Again, he couldn't get any jobs last year, but he did play pretty good this year. So bring him back at a decent price. Don't spend too much, but let him be one of the 3 quarterbacks that is up for grabs as our QB1 next season. Miles Boykin, this is an easy one. Keep. He's going to be a cheap player. He's not a great wide receiver, but he is 2 things. He's a very good special teams guy. He's one of our aces on special teams, and he's a very good blocking wide receiver. He's a physical guy that opens up blocking downfield for receivers running other routes and for the running game. So good blocker, good special teamer. He's going to be cheap. He's not going to be a guy you want on passing downs to be in the game too much. But again, special teams wise, and as a guy that's going to be aiding in the run game, Boykin is a good, cheap veteran fit, so bring him back. Dylan Cook, we can cut him. He never got on the field since he's been here. No real big thing for us. Russell Wren, another guy. I think he's been kind of like practice squad and then come back and then get injured. I would cut Russell Wren as well. So Dylan Cook, Russell Wren. Don't know much about those guys. My apologies, but I would let those 2 guys go. Armon Watts, this one is interesting. I would keep Watts if you can get him for the price we got him for last time. Watts is an underrated kind of a guy, and this goes into our next guy too, Montravis Adams. We have to figure out kind of who can bust out of the pack as the defensive tackle on this team. We know that Ogunjobi and Hayward have been the DNs for us. We need to figure out kind of who is that dominant, true, legitimate nose tackle for this team. And obviously, the rookie pickup we had, Keanu Benton, really, was great, played very, very well, but people were looking at him as being Cam Hayward's kind of replacement, that he's going to move to the outside at some point. If we can have him play in the middle and be successful there like he was this year, I'm totally down for that. But if you want to move Benton to the outside, someone's got to step up as a D tackle in the middle there and be the legit guy at the third. Now, it's interesting because Montravis and Watts do some of the same things. I would potentially keep both of those guys. Now, this D-line is not going to have space, I don't think, for both of them. Because you think about it, you're keeping Cam, you're keeping Ogunjobi, you're keeping Benton. Automatic 3 starters right there. Then you've got Watts, you've got Montravis Adams, you've got DeMarvin Leal, and you've got who's the other the guy on Cam's side, the bigger D end right now. Isaiah Loudermilk. You're going to keep him too. So you've got 7 guys right there. And you potentially could keep 7 on your roster, but that's a lot of guys to keep, especially when you're not going to get to play all of those guys at D tackle. But again, Montravis, when he's been in there, he's been a good, solid run stuffer. He doesn't really blow too many plays. He's just a solid big body. He can bat some balls. Armon Watts, though, has not gotten on the field a ton for us, but when he has, he's made a difference. Not just as a pretty hard-hitting tackler to make some legitimate hits, but he's got a little more athleticism than Adams, and he's a better pass rusher. He can get to the quarterback as a pass rusher. So if possible, depending on roster space and what they want contractually, I would try and keep Watts and Adams here next year. They've both done enough when they've been out there to be good rotational defensive line pieces. Again, I don't know that either one is a full-time starter, especially with Benton being as good as he was last year, but both guys I think are worth keeping. Another guy who is a big part of the rotation that I would keep is Marcus Golden. Marcus Golden, he might be the one that goes, one of the kind of valuable rotational guys that we lose at outside linebacker, because obviously TJ and Highsmith are our superstars. Those 2 guys are going to be playing most of the downs as long as they're healthy. And then we had Nick Herbig come in as a rookie last year and make a genuine quick impact. He came in and almost kind of took Marcus Golden's spot. His development didn't take as long as people expected, and he made more of an impact than we thought in his rookie season. So that kind of leaves Marcus Golden, who's been a former 10-sack season kind of guy and a really valued veteran. He played well last year also. He was a good number 3/4 outside linebacker, and I would love to retain him to keep those 4 guys at depth because Highsmith and or especially TJ are going to get hurt. They're going to miss some time. They get hurt every year. So you need that depth there, especially. So I would angle to keep him, but Golden is a guy that might not want to be 3/4 in the rotation and has some veteran seasons successfully elsewhere. He may want to go and get some money elsewhere to be a 2 or 3 guy instead of a 3 or 4 guy here. So I think he is potentially likely to be gone, but if we can bring him back for a solid contract, I'd bring him back for sure. Other keeps. Chandon Sullivan at slot corner. I would keep Chandon Sullivan. Again, not if the price is astronomical. He's not going to be a guy you want to be in the full-time rotation as number 3. He's not going to be a guy you want to see out there every down. But Chandon Sullivan, I think, did just enough as kind of our slot corner this year. It seemed like he started a little slow. It seemed like he wasn't playing a ton. We had a lot of upheaval and change at corner all season. From the opening of the season when Corey Trace got hurt in preseason, he was going to be a big rotational guy. He got hurt. JPJ started on the bench. He came in and started starting and being a shutdown corner as a rookie. Then Peterson, who was getting torched a lot at corner, moved to safety and played better at safety. But then Levi Wallace wasn't great. James Pierre wasn't great. Sullivan kind of came in there along with Elijah Riley, and both guys made some plays. They're going to miss some plays. They're not going to be super consistent, but they're going to make some plays. Riley more so as a blitzer. Chandon Sullivan, a couple decent tackles, and is a better overall cover slot corner than Riley, in my opinion. So I'd bring Chandon Sullivan back, but I would still try and upgrade. I don't think Chandon Sullivan or Elijah Riley is enough to be your clear number 3 guy. I think you want to add at least one outside corner body and one inside corner body, in my opinion. But if you can get Sullivan for cheap, I think he's a good slot guy to have on the roster in your rotation, especially in case of injury to get a veteran guy in there. He's not bad. Elijah Riley is another free agent, so I just spoke about that. Again, you do need to have roster space for another slot guy aside from these 2. So do you want to keep 3 slot guys on your roster? Elijah Riley can play safety as well. So Elijah Riley has positional versatility, which Mike Tomlin likes. And Riley can do special teams. He can do some edge blitzes. He's a physical guy for being undersized. He's not terrible in pass coverage. That's his weakest place, but he can make an impact in there once in a while. I would try to keep Riley as well if you can keep both guys on your roster. So if it's up to me, if you wind up losing Sullivan or Riley, it's not a huge loss to the team. But if you can keep both those guys, like I said, they did enough last year in my opinion. And then finally, Miles Killebrew, another guy. You don't want him really playing coverage safety very often. You don't want to see him on the field on defense too much, because that means that 3 different guys probably are hurt. But special teams wise, he's very, very valuable. I think he blocked 2 punts this year. Just a very valuable veteran guy, can hit, can block things, is a really good guy tracking punts on special teams. So much like Miles Boykin, you don't want to see him playing his side of the ball too much, but special teams wise, and as a guy who can fill in once in a while, being a physical guy, you want to keep him. So once again, our keepers, the guys that I would keep here, are Mason Rudolph, Miles Boykin, Armon Watts, Montravis Adams, Marcus Golden, Chandon Sullivan, Elijah Riley, and Miles Killebrew. Not too many big name contracts on the books there. I don't know if too many guys that are going to need big money there. The one in question is Mason Rudolph, because we don't know what his market value is going to be after last season. And of course, Marcus Golden, being a successful veteran, he could be on the fringe as well. But not too many guys you're going to have to pay a lot for, but some valuable pieces for your team. Now to the guys that I would cut. I already talked about Dylan Cook and Russell Wren as I was reading down the list. So yeah, cut Dylan Cook, cut Russell Wren. My apologies. Michael Walker I have on the cut list. I wouldn't necessarily mind him returning, but we're going to have a lot of guys trying to play inside linebacker here. I think Blake Martinez is gone now. I'm not sure. Is he on the list too? I don't know. But you already have Cole Holcomb coming back off injury. You have Quan Alexander. You have Landon Roberts, who played here last year. You've got Mark Robinson. You've got 4 guys on the roster already who don't have contractual things coming up this year that are probably going to be on your roster. Maybe one of those guys gets cut for cap casualty. But you got 4 guys already, and you're only going to keep 4 or 5. 4 at least, maybe 5. You might have one spot for one more guy. And I think we need somebody new in here. Whether it's a rookie or whether it's another kind of journeyman veteran to bring in to plug some gaps. We showed that inside linebacker was a weakness of ours last year, mostly due to injury because the guys we signed were kind of aged and beat up. And they played well at certain times, but a lot of guys got hurt. And Michael Walker came in, and he was a good tackler. He was, okay in coverage, although he got beat more than he made plays in coverage. I don't think he did enough. He was inconsistent, good at times, bad at times. I would let him go and use that spot to sign another inside linebacker. That another guy on the list, Blake Martinez. There we go. I keep leading myself in and segueing to the next guy. Blake Martinez, didn't get to see him play much. He might have featured himself in about 2 games this year. I know he was talked about a lot coming in from free agency, being a veteran. Didn't play much, and when he did, I didn't see much of anything. Again, there's room for another guy here. But whether you draft kind of a mid-round, a 3rd to 5th round guy, or whether you bring another veteran in, I think you want to fill that last spot with somebody a little more valuable and proven on this roster. So I would let both Michael Walker and Blake Martinez go. And now I've got the one that I wrestled with the most, and the one on this list that I think is the most controversial. That's Quan Alexander. Another inside linebacker, I would let him go. And this, sad to say, is mostly due to the injury that he had. Quan, to me, was a home run signing at the very end of preseason last year. Or no, the very end of camp last year, going into the first preseason game. He came out in preseason looking amazing. He was fast. He was batting balls. He was running in coverage. He was hitting, choosing his gaps well. He was making tackles. He wasn't missing at all. He was reading his assignments quickly. Play recognition. He was a standout star in preseason. And then regular season, hit or miss, inconsistent, had some really nice flashes, and then missed a couple of things here and there, but then got hurt, and I forget which, if it was ACL, MCL, he tore something, and he tore it toward the end of the year. So we didn't get to see him on the field very much, and because of when he tore his muscle, he's going to be out now past December. I think he's going to be out like the first 2 to 3 months of next season. So if you'd bring him back, you're bringing back a guy who didn't get to show you much on the field in the regular season and is a guy that's known for his pop and his speed and is filling a gap that you need as far as a pass coverage inside linebacker. But he was inconsistent at that when he was here, and now he's coming off of an injury to his ACL or MCL, which is what affects your speed and your footwork. So, his strengths are, again, like I said, the hitting power and the speed, and those things are going to be a problem with the injury. So I would, again, let him go and try and bring another veteran or another kind of high to mid-range rookie in to fill that spot, because we still need guys that are better in gaps, guys that are securing tackles and not missing tackles, and especially guys that can cover. Those are big weaknesses on our defense as far as inside linebackers go. So I would let Michael Walker, Blake Martinez, and Quan all go. I would bring back Cole and Landon Roberts. I may even let Mark Robinson go. We'll discuss that at a different time, and bring in maybe 2 new guys, 1 rookie and 1 veteran, and bring in half a new room together and let the 2 guys we had last year starting combine with those guys to see what we have in the cupboard for next year. 2 corners real quick, and I got these guys both on the cut list. I mentioned them earlier. Levi Wallace. People were talking about him being a veteran, being proven, being a starter elsewhere. He had a pretty good year last year. Definitely got, not this past season, but the one before it. He got cooked a bit. He would get beat on things, but he would be around the ball a lot, and he would get a lot of turnovers. Last year, he was getting cooked, but he wasn't getting the upside. He wasn't getting a lot of turnovers, and he was getting beat a lot worse. Last year was the worst season I've seen from a corner out of Levi Wallace that I've seen in a long time. Patrick Peterson at corner wasn't much better. He got better when he went to safety, but at corner, Peterson was almost as bad. But Levi Wallace, to me, for my money, was starting the season as our cornerback 2, was one of the worst starting corners in the entire league last year, and I imagine his grades and stuff will show that also. Again, he didn't have the splash and the big plays to balance out getting beat on big plays like he did the year prior when he had 4 or 5 picks. Did not impress me at all last year, and yeah, you might get him for a cheaper price because he is aging and he didn't play that well last year, but I wouldn't want him out there. You're getting JPJ is going to be your cornerback 1, but he's only in his 2nd year. He's great, he's shut down, he's physical, but he holds a lot, and he's still only in his 2nd year. Is he the only guy you can really trust out there? Corey Trice looked really good in camp last year, but he's only coming into his rookie season. Was a rookie last year, didn't play a single down, so he's repeating his rookie year this year. You need somebody that's a veteran that you can trust out there, and not putting Levi Wallace on your 1 or 2 wide receiver on the other team. So I would let Levi Wallace go. Yeah, you can get him for a veteran price that's not too inaffordable, but you can sign somebody else much better for that same price, or $1 million or $2 million more, that is way, way more reliable at this stage in his career than Wallace is. Speaking of cuts, again, clean your closet out, make some more room. James Pierre. He's been here for 4 years now? 4 or 5 years, either 4 or 5, and he's never really impressed. He came in that first preseason as the belle of the ball, who was kind of the unknown surprise camp guy, looked really good in camp, looked pretty good in preseason, and then never came out the same after that. Didn't do much his rookie year, came out that 2nd year in preseason, got the doors blown off. He has not looked good since his first season. Didn't even show us much on the field in his rookie year, but he was that unknown camp guy who surprised us all and has not been good since. Came in a couple times at the end of last year because Wallace was so bad, and he wasn't any better. He was getting beat for touchdowns too. I would let both these guys go, and I would take young superstar Porter and young potential star Trice as he comes off injury, and I would bring in at least 1 rookie in the draft, maybe 1st or 2nd round, like high end pick. I'm looking at like center, tackle, and corner as our 3 biggest needs in the draft. We'll talk about that later, a different video. But I would pair a high draft pick with Porter, Trice, and a veteran. I'd bring a veteran in, just like I'd bring a veteran in as our slot corner. I'd bring one in on the outside as well. Sign 2 veterans, maybe draft another to see what we have for next season. So clean out your inside linebacker and your corner closets, because we didn't do very well with those spots last year for the most part. So that's what I would do. Cut list, Dylan Cook, Russell Wren, Michael Walker, Blake Martinez, Quan Alexander, Levi Wallace, James Pierre. That's my keep and cut list of our free agents. I'll be coming to you guys either later this week or sometime next week, depending on the schedule of releases, of who I would target in free agency for the Steelers, other teams' free agents that I would look to sign that fit us and kind of can make up for some of these losses and some of the guys that we need to improve certain positions on. So tell me in the comments down below what you think of my list. Is there somebody I cut that you would keep? Is there somebody I kept that you would cut? And what does it mean for certain rooms in the locker room? You guys tell me in the comments down below, and please like, share, and subscribe these Steeler Deep Dive positional videos if you like them, and I'll keep bringing you guys off-season coverage coming soon. Go Steelers, take care.